Welcome back,
live.
Rich.
Live, the Team CP Media. We're here. How are you getting on today, Angus?
Rich, it's another day. It's another dollar. Government takes 50 cents of that and, not left with much, are we? But it's another day. It's another dollar.
Welcome along to the...
no political views.
That's right. Welcome along to the yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty excited to be here. We've got a big plan of attack on the case today. Angus, who are we talking to today?
One of my favourite subjects today, Richard, food for my belly. That's what we're talking about today. Bit delayed over there, Richard. I'm a bit concerned.
So Cushla Holdaway. Cushla is it is quite delayed. We're actually battling with the delay, aren't we? Right now.
I think it's the Kiwi, the sunny Kiwi internet, is it?
I'm not sure actually. Are we going to carry on or should we pause for a moment?
No, roll tape.
Right, okay. Well, let's carry on. So anyway, so our plan of attack for today, we've got Cushla Holdaway. She is the Team CP dietitian, which is awesome to have her on board the team. She's been up and running with us for the last few months or so. We're going to talk specifically today about nutrition during lockdown. So that's, hey, I'm at work, but the fridge is just there. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, maybe working from home. Maybe it's a more stressful situation because there's a whole bunch of other things going on. The kids are home and all sorts of other things going on. So we're going to talk to Cushla about what are some strategies, how can I actually look after myself in this time. A little bit of an intro on Cushla. Cushla is a registered dietitian. She studied at Otago University. She's been a dietitian for a good 10 years or more. She's worked all around the South Island, currently also works in the diabetes clinic at Christchurch Public Hospital in the outpatients. She does a couple of days with us a week in terms of private clients and things, in terms of helping people manage their nutrition. She's really interested in gut health as well, and just really thorough. It's been awesome to work with Cushla actually just of late, just because she looks after people and she understands food. She's a bit of a foodie, and I guess another bit of background, she put up a recipe the other day, peanut brownie chocolate chip cookie number, and it's been made a second time by Tash, my wife. So that's been a real win. She enjoys food, and it's real food, and it's not something to be scared of or worried about. Actually, let's enjoy our food and make the most of it. So I guess shall we get Cushla online and get into it, Angus?
Righto. Come in, Cushla.
G'day guys, how you going?
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be
here.
here.
Excuse the Kiwi internet that Richard's currently battling with over there.
Yeah, golly, it's a bit better now though, so hopefully we're all good.
Yeah, so you're reporting live from Methven, Cushla. Obviously, you've improved things just because of where you are, improved the standards.
Yeah, possibly. We have fibre, believe it or not, here in Methven, so.
Well, I can vouch, Cushla, for that. Lots of good things come from Methven.
Yes. Do you come from Methven, do you?
Let's move on quickly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get into it. So, yeah, exactly. So, throwing it out there, Cushla, in terms of what are your sort of key tips? Like, there's a whole lot of stuff going on right now. People are doing life differently than they've ever done before. The roads are quiet. There's there's all sorts of things going on. People working from home. There's kids at home. All that sort of thing. What are a couple of kind of first key tips, things that you've seen when you're working with people recently about how do we cope with this the best?
I mean, it's a pretty weird time for everyone, and I think particularly for people who've never worked from home before, and they're always out in the day really busy, and suddenly they're either working from home or not working much at all, and it's a huge change. Like, it's basically being on a holiday but stuck at home and not doing anything. So trying to stick to routines and having normality is just like a real struggle. And it can completely go out the window if you're not kind of on the ball with it. So it's definitely something where I think being strict with this I wouldn't usually say be strict with nutrition, but I think being strict with routine and keeping structure in your days is key to like getting through this lockdown period if you're new to working from home.
So I've come prepared tonight, seeing we're working from home, to be fair. And I wasn't quite sure how long tonight's interview was going to go, Cushla. So I've pre-prepared for the interview, and I've brought a little lunchbox along with me here just to help out. And I thought I might just share with what's in my lunchbox there and see how I go for working at home snacks. How about that?
Fab. Okay, off you go.
So and first out of the lunchbox for that salty treat comes a chip. Everybody likes every Kiwi favourite's a chip, right? So good Timaru made heartland chip. I've got mint treats in here. I found out the other day that one of Richard's tribe of children quite enjoys a mint treat, so thought we could share one of them. For
My dad loves them.
For that late in the afternoon working at home bonk, I've bought a can of Coke just to get me through that late afternoon working at home bonk. Oh, that doesn't sound good, does it? Maybe we shouldn't be bonking at home when we should be working. And just to keep the diet balanced, come in, Richard. We've got ourselves some fruit here. How did I do? How have I done?
Good job.
Could be better, Angus. I mean,
like, chips, potatoes. I've got the vegetables. I've got vegetables in the potato, right? Mint from the garden in my mint treats, and some banana. So I've got some mint, some vegetables, some fruit. I reckon I'm ticking most of the boxes.
Okay, so my question would be, if it's mid-afternoon and you're physically feeling quite hungry and it's still a couple of hours till dinner and you had a handful of crisps and a few sips of Coke, would you feel satisfied and full and like you had energy to get through till dinner?
Right. So
would you?
Well, I mean, no. So with snacking, I think there's two things to consider, particularly when you're working from home or feeling stressed, and that's differentiating between physical hunger and emotional hunger. So physical hunger is what we all know. It's when we're due for a meal and we're, our stomach's rumbling, it's making loud noises, we might feel a bit shaky, a bit lightheaded, and we're just really, really hungry. So that's physical hunger. And then emotional hunger is actually huge. So it could be boredom eating, which is, probably quite a big issue for a lot of people right now. It could be you're feeling really anxious or stressed, or actually you're working in the pantry like Richard and the choc chip cookies are just there. And so you just keep eating. So I think it's key to differentiate between
Could I have a little, just a minute here?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. With my QA internet, I think I'll just put my hand up so then you can know when I can talk. Just on the pantry, it has been the optimal place to work from. Get out the kids doing a bit of exercise together in the morning, and then from around about lunchtime, actually do a bit of feed them, and then try and do a bit of work. So a bit of technology time, and basically the pantry is in between both kids as they spread out around the house, and there's a door that I can close, so actually can do that. But also it's guarding the mint treats, it's guarding the biscuits, it's guarding all those good things in the pantry, and the kids know if things go quiet that they need to come and rescue me, because clearly I'm not talking and therefore I must be eating. So
does Tasha
there's a method to my madness
every morning?
She's probably the first if she's heard of that. So it's live now. She knows about that. So there probably will be some stock takes going forward. Yes. So my emotional eating, when is key.
And it can be a hard habit to break, particularly some people always get in the habit of having a snack after dinner, usually a sweet treat, and they're not necessarily hungry, they've just had dinner, but generally they just get into this habit and they want something sweet and they think it might make them feel better. Yes,
that's me.
It's you.
That's not I want to see. That's not Kiwi internet speaking. That's me. I do the same. And snacking isn't necessarily a bad thing, particularly if you're really active and you actually need more energy on board. If you're hungry, eat. Like, don't try and ignore the hunger, because you'll probably just end up overeating later in the day. So with snacking, if you are having a snack, the key is to not have things like crisps and Coca-Cola, because it's just not going to leave you feeling very good. It's trying to have a snack that's either, got some healthy fats in there, some protein, and some good sources of fiber, because they're all the things that help you feel full and fuller for longer, and they'll get you through to your next meal. Whether if you're just having a snack that's pretty much solely carbohydrate, you're going to be hungry within probably 30 minutes to an hour again, if it's not a very good source of carbs.
Good.
So there was a comment that just come up there about ice cream. And ice cream, is that a good snack? So, hey, it's got to be better than a chocolate Easter egg this time of the year of doing something like that. But actually, ice cream does have a bit of protein, but it does have quite a bit of sugar in it. But I'd have to say, almost for me, it's the evening doesn't feel like it's complete before I've had some ice cream. So let's just have some ice cream, enjoy it, and then I can move on. So therefore, clearly, as you're saying, it's a bit of a routine, bit of a habit that I've got into of the old ice cream as a go-to.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing with having those mealtime routines or snacking after dinner is if it's in the house, you'll have it. So I guess if you're trying to stop being really having that habit all the time, it's just to not have it in the house in the first place. But it's okay to have that food now and again. But if you're trying to stop that habit, then just avoiding it altogether. Out of sight, out of mind.
Not
unlike
actually,
having the chili bin there. I'm not the food police, Angus.
Habit.
I've heard, Angus, that it's not just. Sorry, I'm just going to carry on. I've heard, Angus, it's not just about the chili bin. There's a few things in the liquor cabinet that have been getting a bit of a hammering, and I've heard that you may not be the only one.
Yeah, no, probably a little bit guilty, and probably more so guilty in these times, Cushla, of dabbling in a late afternoon, early evening bedtime gin. How many is that? 1, 2, 3. Probably enough, isn't it? To come clean with. Common thing right at this time that there's more consumption of alcohol going on.
Definitely. And I'm still surprised that alcohol is considered an essential item. Yes, so that's another thing I was going to talk about what's the booze habit creeping in. Because, if people are around home more, they might be a bit bored, and then they decide to have a few drinks together that evening, and then the next evening, and then it becomes every evening. And then through lockdown, you're just drinking every day. When things get back to normal, it could be quite hard to kick that. And the issue with alcohol is I don't like talking about alcohol because I feel like everyone finds it's a very sensitive topic. But the thing is, it is extremely energy dense. It offers no nutrients at all. And it's actually a depressant. So in a time where everyone's actually feeling stressed and anxious anyway, it's not going to help you at all in the long run. So it's considered a macronutrient, and it's actually only just behind fat in terms of its energy density. So there's fat at 9 calories per gram, alcohol has 7 calories per gram, and then carbohydrates and protein have about half that at 4 calories per gram. And that's before the alcohol is even added into the drink. So whether it's like a wine or beer or mixed with lemonade or whatever it is. So very, very energy dense.
I've got no argument. No defense, Your Honour.
Sorry, I feel like, no one likes to hear that. But I mean, I honestly don't think there's any safe level of drinking. At the end of the day, it's a carcinogen, and it's okay to enjoy it here and there. But I would never recommend there's a set level that's fine to drink. The less, the better.
Richard, did you choose the guest? Like, do we need to have a discussion about guest choices going forward here or something?
No, No, she's awesome. I think that's the key thing. I think with as you're talking about, Cushla, there's like no food's necessarily bad food as such. It's just a moderation. Yeah, like you enjoy a glass of wine, but it's not a matter of stopping it all together. It's just how many gins were you having per day, and that's just this particular day. I guess it's just that balance, isn't it, Cushla?
Yeah. And I mean, everything's a risk. And there's, risk associated with alcohol and what it's been associated with. So, it's how often are you doing it? How much are you drinking? And are you being an idiot when you're drinking and go up and doing things you shouldn't, like driving or whatever? So I think you have to consider all of those things as well.
I heard there were performance advantages in 3 gins a day as an athlete. Is that true or false?
Don't know if I've heard that one, Angus.
Just thought I'd ask.
Sorry to break it to you. I can look into it, but
good. Yeah.
It really depends on the type of athlete you are. What about Easter, Cushla?
Easter treats, yeah.
Yep. Tell me about Easter in terms of how do I manage that and getting myself through that in one piece.
With the Easter treats and bunnies and eggs. Is it? You're so delayed, Richard.
I think he's gone. I think we've cut him.
I think he is gone. He's frozen.
No, he's not.
I'll just keep going.
I can see him, but
Yes,
let's talk about Easter.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yep, just keep battling on.
All good. I'll keep going. So Easter's once a year, and I think it's important again to just enjoy that. Have some treats over Easter weekend. Have a few hot cross buns. Have a wee Easter hunt with your family or whoever's in your bubble, and just enjoy it. It's not like Easter's every weekend. And just don't really overdo it. Like, don't eat till you feel sick. Just enjoy having a treat each day over Easter. And then once Easter's over, I guess just get back into normal routine. It's where you have Easter treats stockpiled, and then it lasts for weeks and weeks of all this chocolate being around. So enjoy it while it lasts, and then get back on track after Easter.
So when you go to the supermarket, don't panic buy. Is that what you're saying? Don't panic buy in the Easter egg aisle.
Yes, just get what you need. No need to panic buy, as the government keeps saying.
Good.
Yeah.
So I guess Easter, let's actually probably snacks, alcohol, Easter eggs, the whole thing is just about keeping all your nutrition in perspective, life, balance, all of that sort of stuff, and keeping the whole thing in perspective, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all going through this really weird time together, so don't be too hard on yourself. And I think it's just the other really key thing with getting through this time, as I was saying, being strict about routine. And that's going to help everyone so much more, particularly those working from home who haven't before. So I would suggest being strict with your circadian rhythm. So be strict with your bedtime each day, and be really strict with the time you get up. Don't creep into a bad habit of, I don't really have to be at work at a certain time, so I'm going to sleep in. And then, you might not be as tired that night, so then you stay up later. And then your whole circadian rhythm kind of gets knocked out of whack. The follow-on effects of that on your hormones is quite negative. And when we're sleep deprived, it actually really affects our immunity. And obviously we all want really good immunity right now. And when we're sleep deprived, it also really affects our glucose tolerance and our insulin resistance. And it increases the stress hormones in our body as well, which just, our body in a stress state isn't good. And again, not good for the immune system. So be really strict with your circadian rhythm and your sleep-wake cycle. And I guess the best way to feel really alive in the mornings and kickstart back into a good routine is to get up and get some sunshine, because that stops the melatonin production. Get out, get some fresh air, get some exercise. And by getting exercise in that first part of the day, it often motivates you to be healthier and I guess more motivated throughout the day as well.
Yeah, and I've been actually thinking about the 4-week period that we're in now, and people getting out of their rhythm and getting into that, do things when we need to, because there's another 3 weeks to go type thing. That actually it'll be really important when we actually all come back from this and we come out of our 4 weeks lockdown and that to those, that the country comes back and finds its old rhythm that it had. That's going to be a tricky little scenario, I think. And maybe as people try and deal with that and are forced back into an 8-hour, 10-hour, whatever hour day, again, eating habits will come back into another cycle there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think on that, I'm going to jump in from Kiwi on my bad internet connection, but in regards to that whole exercise habit is super important, isn't it? And I think that's one thing that I notice around the neighborhood and things. People are generally doing that pretty well. There's lots of people out walking, out biking, out, using the whole road because there's no cars on it anymore. So, which is really great to see. And it's quite sort of, keeping your distance, but quite social as well. So this time is also a really nice time to just get into some good routines around exercise. And as you say, that affects my how I'm eating and how I feel like I need to eat. And that's something that we can take forward, and it can be a real positive. And the nutrition can be a real positive now too, because I've kind of got time to prepare. I've got time to be able to do stuff and do it well, maybe more than what I had because I'm not dashing around the place and not having to travel so much.
Definitely. And that's something I've heard so many times speaking to clients over the last couple of weeks, is particularly ones who often would buy their lunch or relied on takeaways or meals out. Of course, all that's gone now. So they're forced to make their meals from home. And often when you make meals from home, they're healthier, they're from more whole foods, they're lower in fat, you have more portion control over them. So it's actually been a really positive thing for them. And that's kind of kick-started them into a more healthy routine with that. And then again, like you're saying with the exercise, if we're keeping things in perspective and looking at the positives of the situation, I've seen so many families out with their kids doing all sorts of activities that you wouldn't normally see when everyone's busy and working and stressed. So I guess, yeah, there are certainly some positives in this for sure.
I actually myself found myself sitting at the smoker room table the other day commenting on how I was enjoying my homemade sandwich for the third day in a row. That was quite unusual for me.
Did you make the bread as well?
Oh,
sorry. I didn't mean to burst a bubble. I thought you might have made Chelsea Winter's lockdown loaf. Sorry.
Well,
good work on making the sandwich.
Was it more than just Marmite? What do we have in there?
No. Well, look. You know, when you're making a sandwich, you're making a sandwich, right? So I suppose there was some cranberry jelly and some chicken and some avocado and cucumber and tomato and some coleslaw and a sandwich.
Yeah,
maybe that's good. The thing with your chili bin in the background there is that actually you've eaten all the good stuff and you've just left the stuff that's that you haven't eaten. Maybe that's the thing. You've got the perishables
already
done. Not sure. Yeah. What about the kids, Cushla? What are your recommendations on that in terms of when kids are at home, they're always hungry? That's part of the reason for working in the pantry, is because I can kind of be a bit of a security guard on that stuff. What are your recommendations around that?
Well, this actually came up in a discussion I had last week on another wee Facebook event. And there's this, I don't know where it came from, but I saw this awesome post on Facebook. And it was for someone who was complaining that kids were always hungry and saying they were hungry because they were around home. So I think the mum had come up with this idea to make little snack boxes so that throughout the day they'd have their main meals still, but each kid had their own snack box. So it might have like a few pieces of fruit, some veggies, some crackers and things like that. And that's their box for the day. And they can choose to have that all in one go or make it last through the day as they need or whenever they're hungry. But that's it. Once it's gone, it's gone. And I thought that was a really cool idea to have a little goodie box for each kid.
I did actually suggest that to a friend the other day. That's exactly what she should do with her kids. That make them a lunchbox, lock the fridge, lock the pantry. Say, that's it, kids. That's your day. See you at dinner.
Yeah. And I remember when I was a kid too. Actually, my mum, she'd say there was open and closed times of the pantry and fridge, and that was it. And we had to stick to those open and closed hours.
Luckily, we've moved on and we live in a 24/7 world now.
I know. Gosh.
So I've actually got a viewer, Jeremy Baker, has actually sent in like an actual question here, Cushla directed. So let me just fire that up here. But he asked, there's a lot to talk about in intermittent fasting these days. How does that relate to endurance training, and what are your thoughts around intermittent fasting?
Good question. And this one comes up a lot actually because it's very in at the moment. So there's a few points to discuss around this, both pros and cons. The positives are, I guess, people who are generally have never really been breakfast eaters and they naturally don't have their first meal or snack till say 10 a.m. midday. Then it's actually they've already naturally done it for ages and they're used to that. And if that works for them, then that's fine, as long as they're getting their adequate nutrition in for their eating window for the rest of the day and not depriving themselves. Where it can become an issue for particularly athletes, like he was asking, endurance training, if they're an athlete and they're going out in the morning and they've already fasted, say, 8 to 12 hours overnight, and they're going out and training 1, 2, 3 hours in the morning, and they're not taking on any food during that or after, then that's a really not very good for the body. It's going to be breaking down proteins and it's going to be in quite a destructive place. So that's where it just wouldn't be beneficial at all, and their performance would suffer and their recovery would suffer. So that's not ideal there. The other issue where it can be a problem is for people who are doing, I guess, from a weight loss perspective, which is the main reason people usually dabble with this sort of thing. And because they're so hungry by the time their fasting window ends, they usually overeat at their lunch, and then they'll eat heaps in the window, particularly snacking, and it'll be like potentially higher sugar foods because they're just like craving that from being starved. And then they might have a bigger dinner, and then as it's their eating window's ending, they then may try and eat more because they know they have to fast for the next 16 hours. So it's just important to watch the behaviors there. And again, at the end of the day, the idea of intermittent fasting is you're basically making 3 meals a day into 2, with the idea that you're, I guess, cutting your calories by a third. So are you wanting to lose weight, or are you wanting to do it in terms of practicality in your lifestyle, or like what's the person's drive behind that is important consideration as well.
Yeah, so I guess there's a place for all of these different diets and ways of fasting and doing all those sort of things. But for that, every average day athlete person out there, you can't really go wrong with just some good, healthy, good eating, clean living type sort of thing, regular, good, normal size portion sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like making sweeping statements, but yeah, it depends on the individual, and you can't go wrong with just eating when you're hungry and listening to your body instead of trying to override that. Like if you're really hungry in the morning and you're like, nah, I'm fasting for another 6 hours, like is that really that healthy? So I think it's always important to listen to your body, listen to your hunger, and again, be mindful of, is it physical hunger or is it emotional hunger? And speaking of those after night snack sweet cravings, if you're fasting or skipping breakfast or not eating well in that first part of the day, that can often lead to those cravings for sugar and overeating in the evening period. So that's always a thing to consider. Look at the first half of your day if that's happening.
I guess it's about sustainability, isn't it? That's the key thing, is can I sustain this over a long length of time? And if I can, well, it's probably a pretty good angle to go with. But if it's something that I'm going to come and go and I can't quite get in the swing of it, maybe that's not the thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's a come and go thing, or I'm going to do it through the week and not on the weekends, then that's a warning sign. It's just a diet fad and it's probably not sustainable at all.
Good. I've got another viewer question here, and I'm loving the fact that we've got some viewers. That's the first bonus, and 2, they're sending in. Now, this is actually a really good question, and some of that a lot of us probably suffer from. You know, when we're full on, flat out training and we're hard at it and we do all that, we need to eat, right? So your food consumption's actually at quite a high level as you eat away there, and then an injury comes along, something changes in life, and all of a sudden you're not exercising, and trying to change the way that you go about eating foods and things is something definitely need to be thought about.
Yeah, I think, and that's often something I think athletes find when they've been leading up to a huge event and their training load's massive, like say the coast to coast, and you can kind of get away with almost eating anything because the energy expenditure is just so high. And then that comes to an end and their training might go down, but they're still eating the same quantities. So that can be quite a difficult time for them to sort of reset and get back to eating sort of the amount that they need for their new energy expenditure, which is often a difficult period for many. But with, I guess, being injured, it depends on the type of injury. But generally, if you're not exercising much at all, obviously you're probably not going to be eating quite as much food as, say, when you were training several hours a week. But again, you don't want to neglect your nutrition, because your nutrition will play a key part in your recovery of the injury. So, being sure to include plenty of healthy proteins, enough energy overall, and also like having some healthy fats in there, and zinc and vitamin C, because they're really good for helping soft tissues and collagen and sort of that regeneration of cells as well. So you need to be cautious with your nutrition still, but I guess being mindful that you're not eating the same amount you were when you were training heaps.
And Richard, this one's for you. If you can hear us there in QE, echo.
Yep.
I'd like you to answer this one for us from Holly.
Do I need to answer that? I think I've got a thumbs up on that one anyway. Does it come up there? No, well, for me, I could justify anything, but maybe I should get the expert advice.
What's the question, sorry?
Oh, a custard square is the best recovery food.
Custard.
Well, they're pretty high fat. I don't know, there's a bit of protein in there. I mean, it could be better, but I don't know. It's all right. It's all right, Richard. I won't burst your bubble.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it puts a great big smile on your face, doesn't it? So surely that's good for protein.
Yeah, and if you've just completed the coast to coast, I think anything goes.
All right. Just about at the bottom of our list, are we, Rich?
I think so. Do you want to just summarise your key points just to finish up, Cushla, in terms of, hey, we're working from home, this lockdown's happening, we're in the middle of it right now. What are your sort of key takeaways, your key things you want people to sort of remember and so they can get the most out of their nutrition, most out of their day, so they can have a smile on their face and know that they're doing the right things?
Yeah, so I think it all comes down to the foundation, which is sticking to a really good routine. And that routine comes down to, I guess, having a really regular sleep and wake cycle. It comes down to having regular exercise in the day, usually at the same time if that helps you, but remembering any exercise is good exercise, and keeping to regular meal times. So doing what you'd typically do in a day where, say, you weren't at home or you were out at work, because if you start skipping meals or getting lazy, then you're just going to end up grazing all throughout the day, because now you're around home and you can, and that's probably not going to be the best thing for you if you're not used to doing that. Being aware of your snacking, trying to choose healthier snacks that have fiber, protein, and healthy fats in them if you can, rather than all carbohydrate type snacks. And is it boredom eating or is it physical hunger? So that's a key thing to remember. Be aware of the booze habit creeping in. That may not be ideal to do that every single evening of lockdown. Baking in all your free time, of course, we all love baking, but try and make healthier choices and even make things that are freezer friendly. So if there's only 2 of you in the household, you can actually freeze some for later when you're back at work and really busy. Enjoy some Easter treats over Easter and keep everything in perspective. I guess to summarize in basic terms, yeah.
Cool, that's awesome, Cushla. So if you're working at the moment, how do people get in touch with you if, like, actually I need a little bit of support with this? What's the best way of going ahead with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much all business as usual, really. Even in my Christchurch work, it's all just still the same. So if people are wanting to get in touch, I guess ask Richard or email me if that can be included in the comments. I will. It's just holdaway.nutrition@gmail.com. I can put my phone number in the comments as well, or my website, I'll put that in the comments as well. But yeah, just get in touch and we can set up a time to do an initial consult, which of course will be via Zoom, which everyone's an expert at now. And yeah, get you up and moving.
Good job. And just to finish off as well, Angus, do you want to, is there a reason for the get up tonight?
No reason, Rich. No, well, good New Zealand. I'm not quite sure we got this right, but I'm thinking that the initial idea was that we were going to. I was thinking I was going to read the news in the form of Billy T. James, who unfortunately, rest in peace, Billy. Cushla had no idea actually who you were. It's a bit
So
disappointing.
uncultured.
So uncultured. But maybe in hindsight, there's actually one other Australian out there that maybe we look a bit more like in this get-up.
Yeah, so good work, keeping it real.
Well, I'm going to go back to my lunchbox.
Nice work.
It's
And
not
yeah,
easy.
thank you for the time, Christian. Thank you for your insights. Thanks for your enthusiasm, Angus. Apologise for my poor internet, but hopefully that was okay. We got through it. And until next time, look after yourselves, enjoy your food, and look after the family. And we'll catch up again soon.
And happy Easter.
Yeah, and get over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Same on the community page there. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, leave us a note. We'll be back.
Good job. Over and out.